Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Tara. I garden here at Wild Bird Farm in central Iowa in Zone 5. We are in late March here and we are going to be cutting back our lavender. Now, I will go outside in the lavender bed, but the wind really picked up, so I hopped in here just hopefully so you can hear me a little bit better and things aren't flying all over as we're doing it. So I'll probably have to put some voiceover when we get out and actually cut back the lavender, but I wanted to talk through a few things in here first. So first off, when I started growing lavender, I found a lot of conflicting information. Some people were saying definitely cut back in the fall, some were saying in late winter, some were saying in spring, some were saying wait until you see new growth. Well, I dug into that a couple winters ago, and for those of us in cooler, colder climates, we generally want to wait until late winter or early spring to cut back our lavender. So when you're looking at your forecast, if most of your days aren't dipping too much below the mid 30s and you don't see any icy or super cold weather in sight, that's when I usually come out and trim back the lavender. Now, if you're in a warmer climate, I think it's definitely easier for you guys to do it in the fall, but I've found leaving that extra mass on the plants gives them a little bit of winter protection. Now, this will be the third and fourth year for the Munstead lavender that we're going to be working with today. I do have a few mounds of hid coat around here as well. Both are doing well in Zone 5. The Munstead in particular, I put that on the south side of our house. I planted that into soil, but then I covered it with little small pebbles or stones rather than mulch, which is what I use on most of my garden beds. As far as fertilizing, you can give your plants a higher amount of potassium in the fall, 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost. I have not done that yet, but I've read it's great for the plants. And then in the springtime, so as you're cutting it back in the spring, I use just a 10-10-10 fertilizer on mine. But if you have something higher in nitrogen, that is what they really like in the spring as they're greening back up. A couple more things. I had great success propagating my Munstead lavender. So 3 years ago, I planted a bunch of plugs in the space that we're going to be working with. And then that next spring, about half of them died off. So I propagated what was there to fill in the rest of the row, and that worked extremely well for me. So stick around later this spring. Really windy. So stick around late this spring. We are going to be taking some cuttings to hopefully propagate more for around my property. Now, as far as what you need, it's very minimal. Just a great set of clippers where you can cut the lavender back. For mine, I'm going to show you how to do it with these, but then since I have a row of it, we're going to be using a hedge trimmer today, which makes very fast work. So as we go out there, what we're going to be looking for is we're going to look down at the bottom of the plant and find where the woody stem starts. On mine, I'm guessing it's going to be about 2 or 3 inches up. Once we find that spot, we're going to go up about 2 more inches, and that's where we are going to trim our lavender for the year. Now, I like to trim mine in sort of a mounding habit. I think it grows out pretty nicely that way. So if you want to do that, you can think about the shorter sides might only have 1 inch above that woody matter, but then the top might have 2 to 3 inches. And that works out, or has been working out for me really well. All right, let's head out in this monsoon and get our job done.
So you can see here is my hedge of Munstead lavender. I've really enjoyed this, having this up against our deck. Lots of pollinators and a great scent throughout the summer. So I'm showing you here the woody stem is sort of that brown part, and then you can see it turns more purple, and I saw a little bit of green starting to push through as well. And those down on this end are a little bit smaller plants, so they're a year younger. But the woody stem is still visible, and I'm showing you a little bit of green here that started to push out. So I'm going to end up making several passes. This first one is just sort of doing a quick cleanup, and then I come back through and do a little bit more shaping. So while this hedge trimmer makes quick work of it, it is still a little bit unwieldy to use, and being between the block and the composite board there, I need to be pretty careful in how I'm wielding it. And looking back at this video and while I was out there, I definitely wish I had had sunglasses or some protective eyewear on. Can't really tell here, but it's really quite windy today. Had to take a quick break there to go get some gloves on, but I picked up some of the matter that I had trimmed off, and then I kind of went through and started to do a little bit more shaping overall. As a last step, I just went through, and any long pieces that I wasn't able to get with the hedge trimmer, I just brought my clippers down and sort of tidied that up. Overall, I'm pretty happy with my progress and how it looks. Definitely a lot of space on the back side of this, which is going to give it more room to fill out and bloom this season. Just a final look here of how it's going to look before it starts flushing out again this season. And the importance of doing this is if you don't cut your lavender back, you're going to see those woody stems creep much farther up into the plant, and eventually, instead of forming a nice mound each year, it's going to kind of be floppy and dead in the center. So we're trying to avoid that. I couldn't find any video of last year when the whole bed was really nice and full, but this is 1 and 2 year plants towards the end of the season. So these did fill out that bed very quickly.
All right, back where it's a little quieter and a little more protected. I hope that was helpful. If you have questions or tips or things that you do that you found very successful, please leave them below.